Hi everyone! As promised, here is my video on Cedar Point Shores for plus size guests. We're going to go in depth about accessibility, weight limits, maybe any size restrictions here. And what I don't like is how it does require separate admission from Cedar Point. You gotta pay that separate charge. Not a huge fan of that, but I do think this is a really good water park. Though, it's a lot of fun, and most, if not all, of these slides have weight limits, and I'll go through them and detail what they are. However, I've not noticed a scale. They don't weigh you on any of the slides, although for safety's sake, I wouldn't advise going over the weight limit on the slide. But say if a weight limit's 300 pounds, you're normally like 298, so you're under it. But maybe that day, say you were at 301 pounds, but normally, you're under the weight limit and you go ahead on it. I think that would be okay. That's why I'm kind of detailing the weight limits. And plus, slides are designed to handle more weight than what the weight limits are. And with some of these slides, you think for a weight limit, well, the slides must be cheaply built to have a weight limit. I kind of do start to wonder about that, but use that to your own discretion. I wouldn't advise it, but there is no scales on the slides that weigh you anywhere in the water park, as far as I'm aware of. So let's go ahead and get started on this video about the Cedar Point Shores Water Park. Riptide Raceway. You have to climb some stairs to get to the top, and you climb it with a foam mat. The mat's not that heavy though, so that wouldn't be an issue, and you can take your time getting up those stairs, but there's no other way except with the stairs. And you lay on your stomach on the mat when going down. The slide has a posted weight limit of 300 pounds, and at all the Cedar Point Shores attractions, if there is a weight limit, it is going to be posted by the entrance talking about that. But for this, I'm kind of like, is the slide really that cheaply built to need a weight limit? Because similar slides like this at other parks don't have a weight limit. But, I don't know. But they don't weigh you, and you're just going to do have to get down on your stomach, though, to ride this water slide. Lay on the mat on your stomach. This next slide is called Storm Surge. It is a family type raft ride. The tubes have a maximum weight limit of 1,000 pounds per raft and a max of 4 riders per raft. You do not have to carry that raft to the top. It has like a lift that takes the rafts up there. Thank goodness. I would hate to have to carry that big raft up to the top. You do have to climb several stories of stairs to get up there. I want to say maybe 6 stories if I remember right. So it's taller than the Riptide Racer that I just talked about. But again, just take your time getting up there. And this ride's actually, I think it's a lot of fun, but I just wish it was a little bit longer than what it is. But yeah. Here we have Lemmy's Lagoon and the watering hole. These two things, the watering hole, you cannot use if you're over 52 inches tall unless you're accompanying a child, and Lemmy's Lagoon, that height is 54 inches tall. If you're over that, you cannot use unless you're accompanying a child. There's no posted weight limits for the watering hole or Lemmy's Lagoon, but again, I know the watering hole has some slides that are a little bit smaller that you may have a little bit of difficulty fitting in if you're accompanying a child on them. So just beware of that. I think is really cool, and it's going to have like no restrictions for bigger guests whatsoever. But you do have to be 21 to use it. It's called Mufflehead's Beach Bar, at the Cedar Point Shores water park. It's like a swim up bar, and typically you only see those in like resorts, really fancy resorts, or the Caribbean or whatnot. So it's cool that there's one at Cedar Point for us adults to enjoy. Next is the Great Lakes Cove and the Lilypad Walk. The Great Lakes Cove is actually, it's like a big like activity pool. Lots of floatable objects there that you can float on, interact with, and connected with the Great Lakes Cove is the Lilypad Walk, which is exactly what it is, where you hold on to this net and try to walk on these lily pads, which I suck at. Then again, I have like no upper body strength hardly, so that could be part of it. It's 48 inches deep, max depth, and you do have to walk down some steps to get into the pool because it is not a zero depth entry pool. But it's not a lot of steps. It's only like 4 or something like that. So it's not that bad to get into. No weight limit on any of these floatables either. This picture here is Lakeside Landing, which is some kid-sized slides. I mean, I feel like they can accompany adult pretty easily. They're not that narrow. There's a weight limit of 200 pounds per slide, though, and it doesn't strictly say it's a kids area, but you know you can definitely tell this is a kids area. And again, weight limit of 200 pounds per slide. This is Splash H2O. It's like the big multi-level water play structure at Cedar Point Shores. The slides have a maximum weight limit of 300 pounds. That's for all the slides here at this structure. There's some steps, there's some nets. I think the slides are pretty wide, though. I don't find them to be narrow. And this is probably something that's going to be more of a family type attraction or something you would want to do with the kiddos. Next is Breakwater Bay, which is going to be their wave pool. And then we have 2 lazy rivers here, Cedar Creek and the other lazy river called Runaway Rapids. And the lazy rivers, they're going to have different size inner tubes. Get a big one with like the big holes. They fit our butts a little bit better. No weight limits on this. Breakwater Bay is a 0 depth entry, so you just walk right in. The 2 lazy rivers, you have to go down like I think like 3 or 4 steps to get in them. But so not that bad at all. And these are just going to be accessible for anyone. And the lazy rivers, you have the option of just floating along with or without a tube. But I mean, come on, guys, it's a lazy river. I mean, I want a tube. I just thought that was something interesting to note there. Next up, we have some single rider tube slides. These are going to be single inner tube slides. And they are going to be pictured in the order named. We have Crosscurrent, we have Lake Erie Nor'easter, we have Portside Plunge, and the Wild Walleye. And there's a weight limit of 300 pounds per person on these slides. But they should have no issues with fitting you as regards to size goes. Your issue here is just going to be the weight limit requirement. Also on the Portside Plunge, you can use a double tube on that slide only, and the double tube has a weight limit of 400 pounds for that tube. And lastly, here we have Perch Plunge and Point Plummet. And these 2 slides are going to be body slides. The weight limit of 300 pounds per person. Again, there's no scales, but the weight limit is in place. So I'd like to add that the body slides appear to be pretty wide, pretty large for guests. I don't think they'd be an issue in that aspect. Thank you guys so much for watching this video about Cedar Point Shores. I hope this maybe eased some concerns or helped you in planning your trip and how plus size, fat people friendly Cedar Point Shores is. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I will answer them as soon as I can. And just like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to me if you would. Thanks so much.